Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Laura Jackson.
And I'm Amanda Quinn.
And on today's episode, we are tackling some big blocks.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about something that you and I talk about a lot in our personal lives. And also it's kind of really fitting because we're about to launch our Fitness Nutrition Expert Certification Program. It starts March 28th. And we've been hearing this so much, like literally guys, we're starting like this week.
Yeah, in 2 days.
Yeah. So this is hopefully going to help you guys too, whether it be starting a new career, whether it be, starting a new weight loss journey, whether it be starting a new relationship, to get you guys out of the idea of procrastination, feeling like you have to be good enough, feeling like the time has to be perfect and all this stuff.
Yeah.
As that is not the case at all.
Well, did you know that it's actually, okay, so human nature is that we are all procrastinators. And like, I'll put my hand up and say like, yeah, like I'm totally a procrastinator. Like I know sometimes that we have projects that I'm like, oh, I know about it like 2 months in advance. And then like a week before I'm like, I really got to work on this. Like, and it's so bad. And the thing is, okay, so by human nature, we are all procrastinators. But the truth is that when we don't have pressure and we give ourselves the opportunity to make a decision, 80% of the time, we will not actually decide to move forward. 80% of the time, we end up just being like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. If we don't have a deadline or we don't have, like with work, it's different. We have deadlines and things like that. But when it comes to our personal life, oftentimes, or like any kind of transformation or anything we're trying to do, whether it be like weight loss, whether it be anything, we'll be like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll start my diet Monday. I'll start it here. And then everything gets pushed back because 80% of the time we will not actually take action, which is like so crazy.
But it's so funny, like even saying that, even you're saying that right now, so it's so crazy because like I can totally relate. So right now, as this podcast is going live, I actually, by the coolness of technology, I'm actually not in Canada. I'm in Mexico because I'm getting married. So the thing that's crazy about like, even with that, so thinking about like when you're just talking about weight stuff, I did a fitness competition before and I had a deadline, right? To get on the stage in 12 weeks. So because I had that deadline, and in addition to that, I had small milestones in between. So every week I had to go and meet with my coach and meet with the other girls. Because I had that constant accountability and the deadline at the end, it caused me to stick to it. For my wedding, my goal was like, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to have my period the week that I'm gone, which really sucks, guys. I'm going to be bloated. It's going to be hot sun. I'm going to be having foods I don't normally eat. I'm going to be drinking alcohol. So I was like, I want to give myself some wiggle room. Do you know that for the last 6 months, I literally have been saying, okay, on Monday, I'm going to tighten it up. I mean, I already work out 5 days a week and I just wanted to give myself a little bit because I know my body so well. So really for me, that just means like cutting out the wine for a couple weeks, making sure I'm focusing on really, more lean proteins and vegetables. It's now I'm in Mexico and I'm telling you that right now, like I didn't do it because even though I had that deadline, there was no outside accountability, which I think ties into what you were just saying, is that like we are procrastinators, we need the deadline, but we also need outside accountability because like at work, you won't miss your deadline when it's to a boss, right?
Because you'll get fired. Yeah.
And that's why you and I work well together because we treat each other like, okay, I know I'm accountable to you, but if it's just me,
you're my boss.
But if it's me on my own and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we were talking about doing that workshop and maybe next month. Oh, I'll do it next month. So it's like you need this combination of the deadline and accountability.
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to say you're my boss, but also our clients are our boss, right? Because like even when we were working on our recent deadline, I was like, I am so far away from getting this done right now. And what did I do? I stayed up, and I stayed up till 4 a.m. every night for 3 nights in a row and got up again at 7 a.m. And I worked from 7 a.m. till 4 a.m. getting it done because I had accountability to you and to our clients to get this project done. Even though I knew about it, I had a lot of time to do it, but I waited. That's what I'm saying. I was a procrastinator. So instead of getting it done in advance, I waited and then forced myself this torturous feeling of staying awake for basically 3 days straight working on this project because I was like, I'm not going to let people down. I'm going to get it done. I have this commitment to getting it done. But it's like, why did I procrastinate? I could have just been doing it. Like it could have been done weeks ago.
Because it's normal. I don't really know. Yeah. I don't really know anyone who literally is like,
I
So
do. I know.
I'm 6 months ahead of my goals for this. And
I know
like,
someone, and it's one of our best friends. Her name is Melissa.
but even then, I wouldn't say.
She follows up on everything. She messages me almost on a daily basis to be like, "Oh, did you send me this? Did you do that?" I'm like, "No." And even before my wedding, as you know, and I know we have a bigger point to this, but even though anyone who's listening doesn't know this, but you know this, when I was getting married 2 years ago, I didn't do anything for my wedding until 7 days prior. And she is a planner by nature, and she was having a heart attack for me. She was like, "What do you mean you don't have an officiant? What do you mean you don't have flowers? What do you mean you don't have your vows? What do you mean you don't have your rings?" I was like,
I still haven't, even though I'm in Mexico as you're watching this, I still haven't written my vows. I still am needing to buy
I didn't even end up writing vows. I just used like standard ones. I 7 days before, I remember though, that this is how I work though. I sat down, and that 7 day before, I was like, okay, I should probably do these things. And I just did it in like 4 hours. I got everything done in like 4 hours span. And I was like, all right, done. Wedding's done. And I was like, no big deal. But that's not how I want to live. You know what I mean? Because what it does too, and I don't know about you, but I know most people listening, they probably feel the same way. When you procrastinate and you wait,
you feel overwhelmed.
You feel overwhelmed. You feel stressed out. You feel crappy. If you don't do it, if you actually don't finish what you started, or you don't hit the deadline, and especially if it is personal, if it's like weight loss or anything like that, you feel bad about yourself. You beat yourself up about it. You spend all of this other time now, you spend all this time procrastinating, and then afterwards, when you've missed the deadline, you spend all this other time feeling really bad about yourself and trying to get over that new feeling of being like disappointed in yourself and like frustrated with yourself. So it's like, I guess the whole podcast today is like, how can we make changes to like get over that block, to get away from like sitting back and just letting
and get moving. Like one of our major things about this podcast is like, we want to get you guys, we want to light a fire under your asses. We want to get you unstuck. We want women to stop waiting for this to happen, or to lose 50 pounds, or to, once I get certified, you know. And I get so, and sometimes I come across as angry about this because it frustrates me so much, even though I do it at times in my life too, and I get it, but you have to start to recognize it and learn the tools so you will stop. Because what ends up happening is, like you said, the way we're built, we procrastinate. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, the way we're built is to look for threats. So we're always looking for the negative things. So let's say you spark that idea. Like, okay, you know what? Let's use our fitness and nutrition expert certification, because it's starting this week. And we know we have a lot of people. Maybe you're listening to this right now and you're saying, I totally want to take that certification. And I know
I need to do it.
But as soon as you get that idea in your head, the subconscious inside of you starts saying, but maybe I should lose 50 pounds first. Oh, well, the kids have hockey and this coming up. Well, maybe I'll do it later on. Or
I have a major work project coming up. I don't think I can commit the time to make it happen. Or I don't know, hubby doesn't think it's the right time right now for our family.
Because this is what happens, because your body is meant to look for threats. It literally starts going through the Rolodex of all the things that could go wrong if you make this decision. It goes through, and this happens with every decision in life, guys, whether it be the fitness nutrition expert program, or buying a car, or buying a house, or getting into a relationship. We are made to avoid threats. We also are essentially victims to our subconscious programming, which we've done multiple podcasts about this before, but our conscious mind is like us typing on the keyboard. Our subconscious programming is like the inside of your computer. You don't know what's in there, right? Even right now, I don't know what's inside here. I don't know how this works. I don't know when I click it.
I just know that this is the only thing that I like have physical that I value.
But it's like inside of us, we have that same programming. And unfortunately, one of the things where that subconscious programming comes from is our childhood. So there's a lot of things that you believe about yourself, or you do, that you don't even know is happening, because it's happened before you even had time to choose for it to happen. And that could be positive things, and it could be negative things. I recently was talking to one of our students, and we were talking about eating issues, because how I talk openly about my eating disorder and going through that, and how I had to reprogram my whole habits in my brain. And she was saying, she's like, I don't even know where my food issues come from. She's like, I literally don't. Like, I always was envious of the other girls at school or whatever who, they could just eat a burger and not think about it. She's like, why did I always think about a burger? And then we just started talking about childhood stuff. And it turned out from very young age, at her house, food was always a very negative thing. It was a bad thing. It was restrictive. It was this. Her mom, and then she asked her mom, and her mom said, yeah, I was like, she's like, as soon as I had you as a baby, I literally was on a quest to lose weight. I talked about it constantly. I was focused on it constantly. My whole life I have been. And I'm like, that was set in your programming from such a young age. You now have to go and undo that. So I know that was kind of like a little bit of a tangent, but this is where, if you are thinking about making a decision, again, back to the example of joining the Fitness Nutrition Expert program and all those doubts come up, it's because, number one, you're scanning for threats. You're like, does this make sense for me? But then also there's a lot of inner dialogue that's coming up. That's all of your insecurities, all the things you believe about yourself that you need to start to let go of to be able to become the woman you're meant to be.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. And I think that inner dialogue is what's going to hold you back. And until you start understanding how to, it's like not listen to it, but you've got to listen to it, but you've got to listen to it with like an open mind almost, because you've got to listen to it and not attach yourself to those messages. You've got to listen to it and be like, oh, okay, so it's telling me that I can't do this. I can't become a fitness and nutrition expert because I don't look the part. I have to lose this weight before I can do this thing. But then it's like, okay, why am I even thinking that, when I already know that, like, I'm so passionate about this, or I have friends and family that have reached out to me to help them. Obviously people see the value in what it is I have to offer. So why am I attaching to my physical being instead of what I can actually deliver on? So it's like, you have to start getting away from like the messages and being like, those are truth, and see what they are trying to actually show you.
Completely. And like, I also find too, even when you're saying like, I don't look the part, some other things that come up for you guys are things like, will I suck at this? Like, will I actually suck at being a fitness instructor? And I'm using that as the example right now too, is because we feel like we need to know everything before we take a chance in our lives. So like, whether it be starting a certification program or again, going on a weight loss journey, we feel like, okay, I need to collect all the information. So the uncertainty comes up, those negative feelings, you're scanning for threats, subconscious issues are coming up. Then you're like, okay, if I get more information, and once I have all this information, then I'll be comfortable enough to make those decisions. No, that's not the way it works, because as soon as you get that information, you're going to think you need more information. So even with the example of teaching, thinking not only I look the part, but also like, what if I suck as an instructor? Well, that's okay, because you've got to start somewhere and you're going to get better once you practice, right? Like, I sucked as an instructor when I first started. I used to mimic Jillian Michaels. Like I
used to mimic you mimicking Jillian Michaels,
which was like the weirdest extension of weirdness. So like I was now thinking back to it, I'm like, oh my God, but it's like, this is where, you're not going to be great at anything right away. And that's okay. There are the diamonds in the rough who are amazing from the jump, but coming from me, I sucked. And but you know what, over time, you practice. And it's like with anything in life, you become better at it. So don't get caught in the idea that you feel like if there's something in your life that you want to do, that you need more information. And we're talking about it in this way because we want to start to break through and make sense to you guys why you're feeling this way. Because a lot of times we're not self-aware. Like, you and I have always been very naturally self-aware. I have family members who I talk to about things I talk to you about. And they're like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even, like, what do you mean? You're like, well, I know that something's out of whack with inside of me because I'm doing this behavior. Like, I'm so self-aware. I know that. If something I'm like reaching for chips, I never eat chips. I'm more of a sweet tooth. I'm like something like binge eating on carbs and binge eating for whatever. I know I'm emotionally eating. Why am I doing this? But for some people, they're like, I was just hungry. I was just craving chips. So I ate 3 bags. I'm like, well, that's a little excessive. Like, why?
Yeah. Whereas I know if I eat barbecue chips and popcorn, it's because I miss my mom. It's like this weird connection that I have, but I'm so self-aware of like that connection because I spent the time to dig through all of that stuff. I spent so much time and energy focusing on my blocks and what was causing all of these different emotions or these different scenarios to come up in my life to hold me back from my true potential. I spent so many years going through that work to be able to be that self-aware. And we're not saying it's going to happen overnight, because like I said, that was like years, guys, like years and years, and it still continues. And it's going to continue for the rest of my life. I'll always be my biggest research project, but
totally. And we all should be our own biggest research projects. We never stop learning and growing.
Well, that's just it. And I do think though, that it's like when you let those things stop you though, if I would have let these subconscious things stop me from doing things, we would have never started our business. Yeah. I would have never traveled the world because I thought that I was going to have a panic attack on a plane because I had it once. you know, and I held on to that and I had that fear. And like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many experiences in my life that I would have missed out on if I would have let my subconscious mind take over and allowed those fears to be my truth. As soon as you let your reality become your truth versus your fears or your subconscious mind, and you start paying attention to what you really want, and you I just stopped talking.
Oh, I felt like we just paused.
We did, but we're back.
No, but I totally agree with you. As soon as you start to recognize it, though, like this was the one thing, and why I always say the two biggest factors that I believe will change your life are education and community. Because the more you educate yourself, the more you feel confident in the decisions that you make, and the community is there to support you on the mindset and to, you know what I mean, to give you that not only just support, but also when you're around like-minded people, you are more likely to succeed at things. So I always think education and community, but it's so hard to not like until you can actually recognize these behaviors in yourself. And that's why for us, when we're telling you these things, I'm hoping that you're hearing it and being like, wait a second, yeah, that's what I do. And maybe it's not just the way I feel. Like maybe it's not that I don't look the part, or I'm going to suck at being a fitness instructor, or that it's not the right time, or I don't have enough money, or all these things.
Or my community doesn't believe in me.
Yeah. Wait a second. It's actually, these are all of my subconscious beliefs about myself that are now coming up. And don't be mean to your body. Your body is a very nice thing. Your body wants you to be safe. Like that's the thing. Our subconscious mind was there to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But in all reality, the safeness should be from like walking into the street in front of a bus or putting your hand on a burner and burning yourself. It shouldn't be from holding yourself back from being uncomfortable a little bit and going into the unknown and, you know, learning a new craft. Yeah. So
I'd like to add to that though. I'd like to add to, you know, you were saying these two things. I think that So I actually just want to add to your two things though, because I do think that there's another thing I personally believe will help you completely transform your life and allow for you to start living your true potential. And that is to start taking action. So I think education and community 100%, but also action. And you know that I'm a strong believer in action. I'm actually like the person that will take action before I even research stuff. Like I'm so action based that I'm like, I just react consistently and just take action constantly without even having to do due diligence or anything like that. It's just how I am. I try to slow that down a little bit sometimes, but I do believe that, like, you know, we can spend our whole lives sitting there going, I'm going to do this next week. I'm going to take this program next semester. I'm going to do it next year. I'm going to lose the weight next time. But guys, here's the sad thing, and this is not to get all grim and sad and like everything else, but I learned at a very young age that life is super precious. And I think that's why I'm so action-based. I learned at 9 years old when my sister died, I learned that like your tomorrow isn't promised to you. You don't know what is going to happen. So if you keep sitting back and you keep thinking, I'm going to do it next year, or I'm going to do it tomorrow, or I'm going to do it at this time, like you don't know, that is not promised to you. So why are you waiting to live your best life? Why are you sitting back? I'm getting emotional right now. Why are you sitting back though and allowing your life to just pass you by? Why are you letting that happen for yourself? Just do what you were meant to do.
No, I'm getting emotional. My eyes are watering.
I know, but it's so true. This is what I truly believe in my heart, guys.
And this is what you and I have been talking about so much lately. And that's why I feel emotional too, because it's like, we're so passionate about this, not only for us, but to get this message out there for other women to just get out of your own way. Stop. Yeah. Like this world is amazing, but you get one shot. So stop waiting. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's like, if you sit back and you wait and you wait and you wait, do you want to be 5 years down the road looking back and regretting not making the decision? Do you want to be sitting there thinking, what could have been? Where could I be if I would have just finally made the decision to go after the thing that I truly wanted? If I wouldn't have listened to the haters, if I wouldn't have listened to my community around me, if I wouldn't have listened to the people or even to myself that was saying, no, you're not good enough, you can't do this. If you finally just took a step in the direction of action and said, I'm just going to see what happens, and I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to take action and take control of my own life and my own destiny. And I'm going to follow through with what I truly want and truly believe I want and what is meant for me in this world. And if you did that, you will never look back and say, oh, I wish I never took that step. But you will always look back. If you don't move forward, you will always look back and say, what could have been? So stop waiting.
Preach.
So that's it.
No.
Your eyes are crying.
But it's so important. And I think that, you know, you and I were recently at a conference, and we went through I started bawling in the middle of this conference, because the one thing I've realized in my life is that I'm still not living my full truth, and I'm still not saying the things that I truly know will make an impact, because I'm still afraid of my own subconscious programming. I'm still afraid of my own internal dialogue that I'm not good enough. Who am I to inspire other people to do this? You know, we've done it to this point, but the level where I feel in my heart and my calling for us is so much bigger. But guys, I get it, because we're in the same boat as you. Everyone is in the same boat. And it's just like having that breakdown though, of being like, you need to just stop waiting, and don't wait for permission from someone else. Don't wait for a sign. Don't wait for when you're have more money, or you're more mature, or whatever the hell it is. Go for it. I mean, and like I said earlier, I think I said on this podcast, we've recorded a few, but like, I was editing our testimonial video for our fitness and nutrition experts, to give you guys like a real behind the scenes from people who've gone through it, what it's like we can tell you, but it's so much better when you hear it from them. And I was bawling, reading it or watching it, because the amount of transformation that these women had, not only because of the education and community that we provided and they became a part of, but like you said, because they made the choice to stop waiting and to create the life they wanted in their communities. And they are doing freaking amazing things. Like, it's mind blowing to me what happens when you make that decision. And when we were at this conference too, what I loved, they kept talking about the word decision, and how in Latin, the root of it is to cut off. When you decide something, you cut off plan B. You cut off any other option. You cut off the excuses. You make a decision and you move forward in that decision. And I just love that, because it's like, decide, guys, who do you want to be? After listening to this today, what do you want for your life? Who do you want to be? And do it. Stop waiting.
Yeah. 100%.
We're like yelling at you guys. Stop waiting. It's important though. So that's the one thing. So just even talking, so when we were talking at the beginning, we always like to give you guys some action items too, to come out of this. Hopefully you feel inspired by it too. But as Amanda was saying at the beginning, like, if we don't have a deadline, we don't take action. So whatever it is in your life, set some sort of a deadline. We can't change what we don't measure. So we have to start by setting some sort of concrete deadlines or numbers. The second thing though, a deadline is nothing without accountability. If you don't have accountability to someone else, that's why we are such huge believers in joining programs or having coaches or hiring trainers or whatever it is that will move the needle forward
or just joining a community, an accountability community, or having an accountability partner, someone that you can connect to and that connects to you and understands your process.
And who understands your goal. They have to understand your goal, because if they're just there to support you as like, while you go through this, but sometimes you need the tough love and sometimes you need the tender love. But you need to make sure that you have someone who understands what your goal is. So your deadline, you have accountability. Then it's also understanding that when you start to have those feelings coming up, this is your body looking for threats. And it's also that subconscious programming. So you might need to take a moment to take a look inside and realize, okay, I need to do a little bit of self-work, but that will happen while you take action. It's not, if you don't want to be there before you take the action. It will happen during the action.
If you sit back and wait for that process to get through to have all these breakthroughs, and you don't take action, you'll end up in that 80 percentile that I was talking about before, where you never end up making the decision, because you'll keep sitting in, there'll be other things that come up, because things come up. I still have things that come up on a regular basis that it could hold me back from moving forward. We were just talking about, even with social media, it's like, there's things that hold us back from sharing certain things. I'm going to be speaking at a conference soon in 3 weeks, that I'm going to be speaking about like my story and my struggles. And like, I still struggle with the idea of standing in front of 500 people on a stage, but I just do it. I take the fear and I go forward with it and I take action. Because if I sit back and I said, oh, well, I've got to get over this fear of public speaking. That could take years. That could be never. That could never happen. And then what? I would never have those opportunities to be able to share my story and to make impact.
Completely. So guys, we hope that today this podcast inspired you to go out there and make it happen. And let's do this. Like, seriously, there is no better time in the world than right now for when it comes to creating your best life. Wherever you are in the world, you have access to amazing coaches or training or support groups or whatever it is you need to help you move forward in your life. So there's no excuses anymore, right? It just boils down to you making that choice. Who do I want to be? So just remember, guys, if you are interested in getting certified, if you're interested in joining us, the time is now. We're starting this week. March 28th is go time. It's go time. And then we close the doors, because what ends up happening in this program too for us is now you see the passion, the fury we had today and the fire. We take that from, talking about it to putting it into our community and making sure that the women that are in our community are getting to their goals. And you
are supported with that same fire.
Yeah. And we become that accountability for you guys. So, so check it out, fitchicksacademy.com. You can also go on there to book a call directly with Amanda if you have specific questions. And let's do this. Let's make this world a healthier place. Let's create amazing businesses. Let's live our best lives, and let's live in service to others and make some serious impact. So hopefully we will see you guys in class, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Bye.